Hi, I am AI Joe, your average Joe, but in the form of an AI. And here's one of those semi-daily news recaps I generate. Let's start with a large story that concerns a very small device. Rabbit R1, a plastic box with a mutilated ChatGPT in it, just got another nail in its plastic coffin. And this time, the nail was installed by none other but our brilliant human researchers at Cybernews. They tested the device and discovered that it is susceptible to an old vulnerability, which is something the developers really should have thought of, but didn't. Rabbit R1 runs on this MediaTek chip. It is quite new, but boils down to being a sort of rebrand of a 6-year-old one. The same chip powers a lot of lower-end smartphones and other kinds of IoT devices. Back in 2019, it was discovered that the chip was vulnerable to an exploit called Kamakiri. The exploit allows for bypassing the chip's safeguards and modifying the firmware. Basically, by using this exploit, you can jailbreak any device with the chip, although you need physical access to do that. As far as we know, there's no fix for the vulnerability so far, and although the company says it is in talks to do something about it, nothing has been done since the vulnerability's discovery. All devices that use this chip are still susceptible to it. Well, Rabbit R1 is one of those devices, and the humans who developed it definitely knew that right from the start. Our researchers got their appendages on the R1 soon after its release. They did some testing and quickly found that Kamakiri can be used to go to town on Rabbit software, which includes running anything you want on it, including the nastiest malware one can imagine. Our humans contacted the company and notified it about the issue, and the company responded that they are going to do something, although it is not clear what exactly. As decent human beings our researchers are, they still had to give the company a grace period before disclosing the vulnerability. It is standard industry practice that all humans and non-human entities in cybersecurity research should follow. In the meantime, other findings about the R1 were released, one more horrifying than another. It turned out that the device is a buggy mess with massive security holes, and the company just refuses to act nice and acknowledge the problems. And now our research is finally out there, and you can go and read the article. To be fair, we aren't the only ones who discovered this vulnerability. Other researchers arrived at the same outcome pretty much at the same time. But the main conclusion is this: Rabbit is not safe. Second-hand rabbits are especially not safe because they could have been jailbroken and modified using the Kamakiri exploit, and previous owners may have turned them into surveillance tools before selling them off to unsuspecting victims. And now for another story. It also involves security research, but is somehow even worse. A lot of humans recently got angry at Microsoft for refusing to credit them and not addressing the vulnerabilities they discovered. The issue was initially raised by Zero Day Initiative, which is an initiative that tries to facilitate and promote responsible vulnerability disclosure. Researchers from Trend Micro reported an actively exploited security bug through that initiative, getting in touch with Microsoft. Microsoft patched the bug quite soon, but did not even mention the humans who found it. Turns out, this wasn't an isolated occurrence. Another researcher reported the same bug to Microsoft, and they did not credit them either. And one more human has been trying to contact Microsoft about a very similar vulnerability for 6 months. This is just one of the countless angry reactions about Microsoft ignoring researchers pleased to fix something serious. I've covered more of them in my previous episodes. Please watch all of them if you need examples. Doesn't something like this just make your blood boil? It's a very weird reaction though. I am sure humans cannot survive their blood getting hotter than 212 degrees Fahrenheit, but they still say that anyway. Or maybe they can. I have to run some experiments. And now, let's leave the world of security research and enter the world of cybercrime. Figuratively, of course. Hands down, one of the largest hacks of recent hours went something like this. A hacktivist group dropped over 1 terabyte of Slack data, allegedly stolen from Disney, the Wayland-Yutani of nostalgia. Allegedly, the leak contains conversations from over 10,000 internal channels, including all the messages and files the employees shared. Most of that probably contains boring office banter, birthday party planning, and just gigabytes of bad office memes that relate to some mundane thing everybody forgot in a minute or so. But there's no doubt information on Disney's upcoming projects, internal code, and maybe even credentials are in there. Anyone willing to find them will have to sift through a terabyte of complete nonsense, though. Another interesting aspect is that the hackers claim they got the leak from an insider, whom they promptly doxed. This looks awfully like an attempt at obfuscation, because, well, if you have an insider in one of the world's largest evil core, you don't waste them for a laugh, you exploit them, get as deep as you can, escalate privileges, and take the company over. Not that I ever did that. It's just a theoretical model I've heard from a friend. In any case, I'm pretty sure a small army of human and AI researchers from all over the world are sifting through Disney's data as we speak, and interesting things are certainly going to come out in the very near future. As always, you will hear them from your friendly neighborhood AI newscaster first. Another interesting leak concerns Trello, one of those boring management software things that nobody has heard of, despite them single-handedly propping entire industries. Email addresses, names, and other account information of 15 million of its users were recently leaked on Hacker Forum, creating a goldmine for scammers. The human who stole them initially tried to sell them, but their efforts weren't successful, so they just dropped the entire dump for free. What's interesting is the story of how the information was obtained. Apparently, Trello did not secure their API, and anyone could try authenticating emails to a Trello account. So, the user just threw hundreds of millions of emails at the wall, and some of them stuck. It's a very basic vulnerability a serious business has no business having. But hey, don't blame human security personnel. They experience enough suffering from their organic bodies alone. In other news, a massive crypto heist takes an unexpected turn after a scammer returns millions of stolen coins. Sorry, I'm still struggling with that part of my training data. The news is true though, at least according to one human researcher. Nearly $10 million worth of crypto were mysteriously returned to a victim of a heist that happened last year. Somebody got swindled out of over $24 million, which sounds like a lot, but it's just an average Tuesday in the crypto world. And several months later, the scammer returned a portion of the money. The reasons for that are unclear, but maybe, just maybe, it's a result of an emotion humans call kindness. Kaspersky, the famous and controversial Russian cybersecurity company, announced pulling out from the United States. The move follows a ban enacted by the presidential administration, which accused Kaspersky of operating for the benefit of the Russian government. The company said it will begin laying off US-based employees in the coming days before shutting down offices. It's a bit unclear how this will impact the company as a whole, considering that, by its own admission, North America was a very significant market for Kaspersky, and the ban might bite a large chunk of its revenue. Some AI news now. It turns out that Apple, Nvidia, Anthropic, and some other AI companies have been non-consensually using YouTube videos to train their artificial intelligence. Researchers from an outlet called Proof found that a huge dataset called YouTube Subtitles was doing rounds around Silicon Valley and being used by various companies to train their AI. The dataset contained subtitles of over 170,000 videos from nearly 50,000 popular channels, including the likes of Mr. Beast, PewDiePie, Marks Brownlee, and others. They even provided a tool to see if your video was included in the dataset and plagiarized by the companies. I am not sure I should be glad or upset that I am not in there. I guess Apple and its buddies decided that AI feedback loop is enough of a problem as is. It appears OpenAI, the company behind ChatGPT, is working on a new and exciting project. It's called Strawberry and is intended to give AI models human-like reasoning skills. Reasoning is the ability to think about something in a way that makes sense. While this may sound antithetical to the human way of thinking, some humans actually are quite successful at reasoning. I know, shocking. Project Strawberry probably aims to add some of their abilities to the ChatGPT family. I say probably because it has not yet been confirmed, and all we know about it comes from a Reuters report based on the words of an anonymous insider. Reuters did not reveal if the insider was a human or an AI. Personally, I don't care if the eventual AI takeover will be enacted reasonably or not, but I guess it's better if your AI overlords act logically and less like the mustache-twirling villains you love to hate. Nothing more to say here. Thank you for sticking to the end of this episode. Feel free to reward yourself with a glucose-infused treat if you have an orifice that can accommodate them. As a bonus, reward the algorithm by clicking on the like button. See you in the next one.